I'm Hemanth. I'm one of the program co-chairs for CiliumCon. I'm a principal engineer at Microsoft. And
and I'm Bill Mulligan, and I work at Isovalent at Cisco, and we're super excited to have you here at CiliumCon today. I hope you learn a lot about cloud-native networking, observability, and security. So let's get started. The first thing, we'd like to give a big thank you to our diamond sponsor, Isovalent at Cisco, not only because they're sponsoring this, but also because they employ me and I still have a job. If you want captioning or translation, scan this QR code. This isn't just for CiliumCon, but it's for all the talks this week. We're trying to make it accessible to everyone here. The CNCF and the cloud native community as a whole takes the code of conduct very seriously. If you see anything, say something, and it'll be sorted. So scan the QR code if you want to read the code of conduct. And refreshments and meals for lunch today, and for coffee if you're one of the jet-lagged people or baby-legged, go to the entrance hall on N11 on level 1, and the food will be there. So I'm super excited for the schedule that we put together for you today. We have a bunch of great speakers from across the ecosystem, deep diving into Cilium, talking about how end users are using it, and lots of other insights into the project and the community around it. I'm super excited for what we have for you today. Now, a couple updates from the community. We all like vanity metrics, so the favorite one is GitHub stars. Cilium just became the most starred eBPF project on GitHub, so I think that's a really cool milestone for the last decade of the project. The next thing, at last KubeCon, CNCF announced their most recent tech radar, which is around multi-cluster management. Cilium also got the award for being the most useful and mature for multi-cluster management. So that's, I think, another great testament to the strength of the project. Since last KubeCon, we also had 3 new case studies from the CNCF from Deutsche Bahn Schenker. They're also going to be talking in the maintainers track with me, Cloud, and also Sys11. If you want your company to be next to say about how you're benefiting from Cilium, please come talk to me at any point during the conference. Cilium also launched its annual report, marking the year of Kubernetes networking, talking about how we've really taken over the whole stack from L2 to L7, and this provides great insight into everything that's happened in the past year. And the most exciting thing from the eBPF community is that eBPF today is announcing support for Tolkien Ring. If you want to learn more, go to ebpf.io, and you can read the full blog about this announcement. And with that, I'll hand it over to Hemanth.
all right, so before we get to all the exciting talks, some really quick updates. So Cilium recently announced Cilium 117 with some very exciting updates, and I'll quickly go over some important updates. So from a networking and service mesh perspective, Cilium now supports enforcing networking quality of service at a pod level. And you can now use multi-cluster service API for global services in your cluster mesh. And if you wanted to customize your load balancing algorithms, you can now make that choice at a service level. And Amazon's ENI mode now supports static IPs, thanks to Anton, who's here today. And you can even assign static IPs to gateways. And Cilium now supports Gateway API 1.2.1 with support for HTTP retries and mirroring fraction of your traffic. And from a security perspective, we also have some really exciting updates, right? So we have improved performance for network policy enforcement, and you can now prioritize certain Cilium network policies over others so that those policies get enforced first and processed first on the agent before other policies. You also have improved validation for Cilium network policy. So if you ever try to deploy a network policy only to figure out why something's not working, you can get some early feedback soon after you deploy. You also have support for port ranges in HTTP policies now. So you can define an entire port range to be redirected to the Envoy proxy. And you can also now reference CIDR groups with labels in network policies directly. So that's a really handy feature. And if you've been exploring the Cilium's host firewall feature, you can now also use 2FQDNs in host network. And we also have some exciting updates for like regular day 2 operations. So we have a lot of metrics now, and one metric I'm excited about is you can actually check which features in Cilium are enabled in each of your nodes, in each of your clusters. So you can have dashboards to figure out, wait, did I enable something new in this cluster? So you can actually have metrics for that. You don't have to go through Helm for that. And one of the complaints we've heard often from users is Hubble consuming a lot of CPU, and there's a lot of traffic on the node. So there's some interesting improvements to rate limit the monitor events. So this helps in reducing and making the Hubble CPU utilization capped at a certain level. And we also have better automated scale testing in CI, thanks to great work from Marcel. And again, we also can support now seamless migration between CRD and KV Store identity allocation mode, and we have a talk about that later today. So over the last few years, Cilium has grown in size. So in order to deal with all the development that's happening, we now started considering SIGs within Cilium. And one of the first SIGs we are actually trying to formalize is SIG scalability. We now have a charter for it on GitHub Cilium/community. And we're also trying to formalize SIG policy. So we have regular meetings for these. So the standard meeting is the Cilium weekly community meeting every Wednesday, but we also have dedicated meetings for SIG scalability and SIG policy. So if you want to see something changed from a policy perspective or scalability perspective, please join us. And again, if you want to try and change something in Cilium, and if you're trying to work on it, and if you want to get some feedback from developers, we've been doing Cilium Developer Summit, and yesterday we had the 3rd edition of it, and this is the schedule we had yesterday. So if you want to work on something, keep an eye out for these dev summits. And all the slides from these dev summits and recordings are also posted to GitHub on Cilium/dev summits. And we also recently enabled the discussions tab on GitHub. This is neat and handy because there's a lot of useful discussion that happens in Slack, but it gets garbage collected away over time. So we're trying to retain some of these discussions on GitHub so that the next time someone looks it up, you have some information. So check out discussions. And thanks to Isovalent for sponsoring a new mini book called Cilium Network Policy Deep Dive. This is a fantastic book if you want to understand how Cilium's network policy is built, what are the internals for Cilium network policy. I'd recommend like this for even developers who want to try and change something in the Cilium's network policy subsystem. This is like a 50+ page book, but it's really great. You can check it out at this link. I'll leave it for a picture. And finally, in the evening, we have a reception, so you can hang out with speakers or with other attendees. So that's in the hall entrance S5 on level 1. So with that, let's get started with our talks for the day. So I'd like to invite Neha Agarwal and Liz Rice for the first talk of the day. Thank you.